So the world is run for money, okay? The world exists, these organizations exist in order to facilitate the easy, fluid movement of money around the world and make money God, okay? So after 2008, the Bank of International Settlements had a problem in that the global economy was slowing down. Europe had lost a lot of money, America had lost a lot of money. So their solution was, let's shift the center of gravity from America and Europe to China. And you're like, okay, how do you do that then? You do that with something called the exchange rate. Okay, exchange rate is very simple. Renminbi to USD. Okay? So remember how the interest rate in a national economy, it's a signaling mechanism as to whether or not to increase or decrease liquidity. Well, the exchange rate in the international marketplace is a signaling mechanism to tell other nations whether or not to trade with another nation. Okay, does that make sense to you guys? All right, so let's look at what happened. So for the longest time, the Chinese currency was trading above 8 to the US dollar. Because remember, the US dollar is the main mechanism, of global trade. And then, hey, starting around this time, 2008 guys, it started to increase in value, okay? And so now the world knows, oh, I should trade with China. And China is like, well, okay, my exchange rate is higher than before, therefore I should buy more things from the world, okay? But not only that, but now that I have access to commodities from the world, then I should know I need to promote my economy to use these resources. So I should spend more money on infrastructure. I should build more high-speed railways. I should build airports. Okay? And that's what China did. You see how 2008, just as the American and European economies were suffering, the global economy was suffering, the Chinese economy, China started to have a higher exchange rate, okay? And it kept on going higher and higher. And then what did China do with it? China started to buy stuff from around the world with it, okay? Again, this is a signaling mechanism where the Bank of International Settlements is saying to the world, you can now sell to China. We will guarantee China, all right? And that's because the Bank of International Settlements needed China to buy more things from the world. And this happened starting around 2008, right? This massive surge in imports. And because all the commodities were coming to China to spend these commodities, so it started to build infrastructure, right? And how did it finance the building of this infrastructure? Bank loans, guys. Bank loans, all right? So this is China. Sorry. This is China, right? Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. This is China. 2008. 2008, basically, China, US, Japan, Europe, their economies were about the same. The bank systems were about the same. But starting about 2008, wow. Look at this. This is all being orchestrated by the Bank of International Settlements, by a few people working behind the scenes. Look at this. Look at how crazy this is. All right? So what does this mean? It means that today, China has the largest banks in the world. This is JP Morgan, the largest bank in America. This is Chinese. This is Chinese. This is Chinese. This is Chinese. This is Japanese. Okay? The top 4 banks in the world are Chinese. Why? Because in the bank system, debt liabilities are also assets. Do you understand? All this money the Chinese banks have are just liabilities. Okay? So this is how the system works. It's all just an illusion. The thing about the Chinese system, that prevents it from imploding is the fact that all debt in China is localized instead of nationalized. All right, so even though these Chinese banks are heavily in debt, they're in debt in local areas, not national areas, okay? And all this means is that the Bank of China does not have that much debt relative to, say, the Bank of Japan, okay? So debt in Japan is nationalized, debt in China is localized. Okay, so another major consequence of China, the growth of the Chinese banking system is that China started to export its goods around the world more, okay? So as you can see, in the year 2000, America really dominated the world in manufacture export, okay? But by the year 2024, look, it's basically the entire world is buying Chinese exports. And so this is a deliberate strategy of China's national capital to move the center of economic gravity from the United States to China. But the problem with China, the reason why China has not become the hegemon, is that China's not interested in being the hegemon. In other words, military power. Also, as China is expanding its manufacturing capacity to the world, who's upset now? The United States, right? And so what the United States does is it imposes tariffs. Okay? Doesn't make sense. All right. So in other words, okay, in theory, the theory is that the goal of the bankers is to maintain the game, okay? That's all they care about. So they want to switch from America to China. But it didn't really work because China doesn't really want to take the responsibility of being the global reserve currency as well as having military bases overseas. All right? So China doesn't want to do this, and America won't let China do this. So your only option now is Israel, okay? And that's why I believe that this war in Iran, what it will do is shift the center of gravity from America to Israel, because Israel wants to be the center of the world, not China.